This is Grade 6 Math, Chapter 3.3, Dividing Decimals. This lesson has one objective only, and that is to divide a whole number by a decimal or a decimal by a decimal. If you had an easy time with multiplication, this will also be a breeze for you. Let's get started. Let's begin with a word problem. Jamie and his friend live 1 mile apart on the same street. Each block on his street is 0.2 miles long. How many blocks apart do the two friends live? So what we're really asking in this problem is what is 1 divided by 0.2? Well, we have two approaches we can take for solving this problem. Method 1 asks us to draw a bar model. So here I've drawn a bar model representing 1 mile divided into 1/10 intervals. So how many times can I fit 2/10 of a mile into this? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 1 divided by 2/10 equals 5. We can put 2/10 into 1 5 times. We can also solve this by using a mathematical method. In method 2, we use what we know about the relationship between decimals and fractions to solve the problem. We'll rewrite our problem expressing 2/10 as a fraction, 2 over 10. Well, we certainly know how to solve this problem now. We use the reciprocal, and we multiply across, giving us 10 over 2, which equals 5. So Jamie and his friend live 5 blocks apart. Let's try another problem. 16 divided by 4/10. We can rewrite this problem as 16 divided by 4 over 10, or 4/10. We can then use our knowledge of dividing fractions to understand that we can multiply by the reciprocal. We can cross-reduce, giving us 4 and 1, and we come up with an answer of 40. 16 divided by 4/10 equals 40. Try these two problems where you'll divide a whole number by a decimal on your own. Record your answers in your homework notebook. I'll be right back to divide whole numbers by hundredths when you're done. Now let's attempt a problem where we divide a whole number by hundredths. Let's divide 96 by 12 hundredths. Once again, we can use the fact that we know that division is the inverse of multiplication, and we can use the reciprocal of the divisor to find our answer. So we'll begin by rewriting our problem, expressing 12 hundredths as 12 over 100 instead of 0.12. Now, we change our division sign to a multiplication sign. We use the reciprocal of our fraction. We look for an opportunity to cross-reduce, which I do think we have here. What number do you think we could use? Excellent. Yes, we can use 12. 12 goes into 96 8 times. And then we multiply across and get an answer of 800. Here are two problems where you'll divide by hundredths to try on your own. Record your answers, and we'll be back to divide tenths by tenths as soon as you're finished. Now let's learn how to divide a decimal by a decimal. So here we have a problem that says 8/10 divided by 2/10. What we're really asking is how many 2/10 are there in 8/10. You could use a number line to represent this if you wish, but we can also use our knowledge of fractions. We can rewrite this problem as 8/10 divided by 2/10. We know that division and multiplication are simply opposite processes, and if we take 8/10 times the reciprocal of 2/10, we can cross-reduce, giving us 1 and 1. We can cross-reduce here as well, giving us 1 and 4. And when we multiply everything across, we get 4 over 1, or just 4. 2/10 will go into 8/10 4 times. Here we'll divide a hundredths by a hundredths. So in this problem, we're wanting to find out how many times 4 hundredths will go into 56 hundredths. There are two possible ways to solve this. The first uses the fraction method we just employed when we divided tenths by tenths. We'll put 56 over 100 and 4 over 100. We use the method we know well by now for dividing a fraction by a fraction, which is to multiply by the reciprocal. We cross-reduce. We multiply across, giving us 56 over 4, which reduces to 14. So our answer is 14 using method 1. Now let's try method 2. In method 2, we rewrite our division problem as a fraction, like this. Remember this line between the numerator and the denominator really means divide by? So we've rewritten this same problem now. It says exactly the same thing in words, even though it looks different on the screen. 56 hundredths divided by 4 hundredths is what this sentence says. But this sentence also says 56 hundredths divided by 4 hundredths. In order to make these numbers more simple to work with, we're going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 100. Basically, we're trying to get rid of those decimal points. This gives us 56 over 4. 56 divided by 4 equals 14, and there is our answer. Another way to think about rewriting this division problem is to write it as a long division problem. If this helps you to visualize it, go ahead and do it this way as well. Once again, we simply remove our decimal points to make the problem more simple to work with, and we still get an answer of 14. So there's 3 different possible ways to think about dividing a decimal by a decimal. All right, try these 2 problems on your own. When you come back, we'll divide hundredths by tenths. Now let's learn how to divide hundredths by tenths. Once again, we can use the 2 methods we learned for dividing hundredths by hundredths. First, let's try method 1, where we express the decimals as fractions and then divide. So 96 hundredths will be rewritten like this, and 4 tenths will be rewritten like this. Now we solve, because we know very well now how to divide a fraction by a fraction. 96 over 100 times 10 over 4. We cross-reduce, making this 1 and this 10. Will 4 go into 96 evenly? It certainly does. It goes in 24 times. So now we multiply across. 24 times 1 gives us 24 for our numerator. 10 times 1 gives us 10 for our denominator. Now we divide 24 by 10, giving us an answer of 2 and 4 tenths. That's method 1. Now let's try method 2. Remember, in method 2 we express the quotient as a fraction. So we're going to take 0.96 and place it over 0.4, 96 hundredths divided by 4 tenths. Now we multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 10 to make the divisor a whole number. Notice we don't have to use 100 because all we really need to be a whole number is the divisor. So we have 9.6 divided by 4. If it's easier for you to see the division problem, you can rewrite it now this way, 9.6 divided by 4. To get your answer, you can work it out as a regular long division problem, giving you 24, bring up the decimal point, 2.4 is your answer. 2 techniques, same answer. Let's close out today's lesson with these last 2 practice problems. Please try both method 1 and method 2, just so you're familiar with both. After this, I'll let you choose whichever one works best for your brain, as long as you can show me all of your work, as usual. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow to work on dividing more decimals.